Hey, my unstoppable friend. Welcome back to the Burn Stress Lose Weight podcast. If you're listening to this podcast episode anywhere in real time, it is officially my birthday week, and I want to celebrate it by talking about how to create your own luck. I can say without a shadow of a doubt, without a moment's hesitation, that I feel better in my body today in my 40s than I did 10 years ago when I was in my early 30s. And this is not good genetics, and it's definitely not luck. It's true that your genetics does play an absolute role in your ability to lose weight and how you burn fat and gain muscle. And I would call my body type an endomorph body type, which means it's much harder for me to put on muscle and it is definitely harder for me to burn fat. So I'm sharing that little piece about me because sometimes we are under this assumption that only special unicorns or people with extra discipline are the ones that can achieve their body goals, are the ones that can lose the weight they want with simple strategies. And achieving that goal is reserved for the select few. But this entire podcast episode is intended to squash that myth. I want this episode to talk about what really changed for me multiple years ago, the shift that I experienced, and really the changes that I had to make where I started to realize that I could actually create my own luck. And the reason that this has become such a power tool for me, and also part of the journey that led me from being a physician to an entrepreneur to a coach who works with professional women now, is I can see the impact when smart professional women actually learn this as a skill set. Whether you've been a longtime listener or you're brand new to my orbit, I first want to just welcome you to this episode. If you're brand new to me, hello, hello. I am Dr. Priyanka Venugopal. I'm an OBGYN physician turned stress and weight loss coach, and I am specifically on a mission to help smart professional women who self-identify as overachievers not just lose weight, but to lose weight without strategies that feel hard. My goal is for you to see how it's very possible for you to achieve your body goals, for you to feel your best in your body, your most energized, where this problem stops taking up any mental real estate so that you can go and live your real life. I want all of us to feel at home in our bodies in a way that food, weight loss, the numbers, the metrics stops being such a contentious problem that is occupying your brain. And instead, you get to spend your time living your life with your family, enjoying your friends, growing in your careers, and feeling connected in your relationships. I refer to all of you, my clients, my listeners, my entire audience as unstoppables. And the reason for this is because the word unstoppable for me doesn't embody a stress-free life or an obstacle-free life. It actually embodies the ability for you to overcome, navigate, and solve any obstacle that comes your way. And if you identify as a professional woman who has overachieving tendencies, you likely have some big dreams. You want to go for the big career promotion. You want to feel connected in your relationships, in your marriage, with your children, with your friends. And most importantly, if you're here, you likely want to feel connected to yourself again. And the truth is, if you're a professional woman, you have many things, many responsibilities, a mile-long task list pulling at your attention. That to-do list, whether it's the laundry, the meal prep, the mom chauffeur activities that you have after school, or the responsibilities you have in the workplace, are always knocking on your door. And it's really normal when you're in a particularly challenging season that some challenges feel like a lot. But our work together here on this podcast, and really what I do with my clients, is learning how to tap into the best parts of your brain where you feel unstoppable navigating anything that comes your way. Now, if I know you as well as I think I do, it's possible that, particularly as an overachiever who has many responsibilities and as someone that has a heart of service, you're very used to taking care of everyone else first. And it's also possible that you have been waiting for something to prioritize your body goals. Maybe you've been waiting for the right time, the right week, the right season. Maybe you've been waiting for your kids to get just a little bit older, or that hard season in your career, maybe with aging parents, to get just a little bit better. You might simply have been waiting to just feel ready or to have a little more confidence that you will actually be able to solve this problem. Whatever the reason has been, I want you to simply start naming that thinking about your goals, planning for your goals, dreaming about your goals, and waiting on your goals might feel practical, but it's the reason that you don't have the goals you want in hand right now. I have been a lifelong student. I love learning. And again, if you're here, you likely are a student at heart. You love learning new things, downloading the PDFs, listening to this podcast, feeling inspired through the act of learning. Maybe you're listening to this podcast right now on a walk, during your commute, while you're prepping dinner, and you feel bit by the inspiration bug. But when the learning and the inspiration doesn't translate into actionable health activities, it's not a surprise that it feels like you're expending a lot of mental bandwidth and effort on your body goals without really seeing the tangible results. So the very first thing that I want to break down today is that learning is not a health activity. And while it feels like progress because your brain rewards you in the same way that it does when you're actually taking action on something, you'll get a lot of dopamine hits simply thinking about and planning for your weight loss goals. But this is the mistake that keeps so many smart women stuck on actually achieving what they want. And the trouble with this is it's actually taking up a lot of mental real estate. I was reflecting on what's different now as I'm turning 43 versus back in 2018 before I learned the work that we talk about here on this podcast. Back in 2018, I weighed a little over 200 pounds. I had 2 young kids, an unpredictable schedule. I was going into the hospital for middle of the night deliveries. I was on call every Tuesday, every fourth Friday, every fourth weekend. And it made a lot of sense because I had a mile-long list of responsibilities that I told myself the story that I just wanted weight loss to feel a little bit easier. Now, if you've thought this, I completely understand because as a professional woman, you just want your energy and efforts to actually be fruitful. It makes a lot of sense that your brain might protect you from leaning in and taking action on a body goal like weight loss this year when you have a flicker of doubt that your energy or your effort might get wasted. Add to that, a lot of us have just a little bit of entitlement that we think it should be easier than it actually is. Especially when you're working really hard at home and in your careers, we have this idea that we're working so hard. This shouldn't be one more thing that you have to worry about. Sometimes weight loss starts feeling like a full-time job that you don't have time for, and it makes a lot of sense that you may put it off in small moments to the back burner. But the real reason that weight loss has felt like a full-time job is not because of the health activities that would guarantee you results this week. It's because of the mental real estate that gets occupied with the strategy you have and the half in, half out approach. Example number 1 is simply counting calories and points. I used to be attached to MyFitnessPal when I was in a high of motivation. And then whenever I would be in a challenging season or life felt a little bit busy or I forgot myself for a day, I would secretly forget to log the points and log the calories and enter another fresh start. I'll start again on Monday. This was not lacking discipline. Actually, as an overachiever, most of us are over disciplined, which is why weight loss feels so hard, but that's for a different episode. Logging points and calories, calculating and counting all of the food that I was eating naturally made my relationship with food contentious. It created stress around food, constantly worrying whether I was going to hit my calorie allotment for the day, whether I would be hungry later, what if I didn't get enough? These were questions that subconsciously were invisible clouds following me around that created a feeling of stress. Think about playing a sports game. If it's you versus another team, when you're calculating points and calories, it's like you're against food. And let me tell you, at least for me, this took up a lot of mental real estate. And the worst part about this, because it wasn't truly a sustainable strategy, every single time that I had a piece of cheesecake, went off track, had 2 glasses of wine instead of 1, went over the allowed allotment that I was supposed to be eating, I would just turn a blind eye. I would monkey emoji over the entire strategy. I would forget to log the points and I would just tell myself, we'll start again on Monday. Not only was this exhausting, not only did this create a lot of stress around food and weight loss, it slowly chipped away at my trust with myself. And so there would come a natural moment at the end of a tough week after maybe having multiple middle of the night deliveries or a fight with my husband or a challenge with my young kids, that on Friday night, I would have the thought, you just deserve a break. And because food and alcohol and scrolling my phone were the only breaks that I had available at my fingertips, it was no surprise that my brain would steal breaks in the form of snacking, scrolling, and mindless procrastination. And because of the first part of what I was talking about, because I had that stress around food, I had scarcity around whether I would actually get enough, I started to treat my body like a suitcase. I would eat passe tidy. I would try to store more for later. I would basically have that chipmunk squirreling approach of let me squirrel this away because we don't have the self-trust that we will give ourselves these things again later. I'm just painting a picture for why weight loss has likely felt like a full-time job. If you have noticed that calculating and tracking calories and points has created stress for you around around food, if it feels like something you have to constantly think about, if it feels like something that you tried to hide from Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or something you completely abandon every time you go on a trip or on a vacation and you need a fresh start, it's the reason that weight loss has felt really hard. And it's the reason that you have that distrust with yourself. And this was the season that I made the mistake of wishing and hoping for a little bit of luck. I would look around at people that seemed to have either more discipline than me or somehow had a body type and genetics that could easily lose weight. And I just used to wish that it was just a little bit easier for me. Every single birthday and every single new year, I would have that pep talk with myself that this is the year I really want to prioritize my health. But because I had a strategy that created stress, it never really lasted. The moment that this really changed for me was in 2018. My son was 3.5 at this point. My daughter was born, and I think I was about a few months postpartum. And I realized that first of all, I was definitely the person that did not easily lose weight postpartum. The weight did not melt off, as it does for a lot of people. And even despite being an OBGYN who knows that that's not how it goes for a lot of women, I was honestly surprised. And I remember I went to re-download my calorie tracking app, and I looked at my daughter and I looked at this app and I realized that this was not the strategy or the plan that I wanted to lose weight ever again. I didn't want to model this way of weight loss while it works for many people. I didn't want to model this way of eating, this way of being with myself, with food, with my body to my kids. And the realization I had at this moment, it was partly through just having a really tired brain. I was completely sleep deprived and I was about to go back to work. And it was in that experience when I made the decision that tracking and calculating calories and points, number one, had not worked, which means it likely was not the strategy for me. The other thing that I realized when it came to tracking calories and points as the strategy that I had been taught, that was what I had learned, that's what I had done for decades, was this wasn't the way that my family was eating. My kids were not tracking calories and points. My husband was not tracking calories and points. And so it was another reason that circumstantially it made it really hard for me to feel like I was a part of the family. It always felt like I was having to do something different, that I couldn't eat quote unquote normally. And it's another reason that weight loss and food and eating took up so much mental real estate. So coming back to that moment when I was about to re-download this app and I realized, number one, I hated this strategy. I absolutely hated it. So why would I want to do this again? Number two, this was not a strategy that I really wanted to model to my daughter. Number three, I wanted to stop waiting and wishing for luck. I wanted to stop having that thought of, I wish it was just a little easier for me. Like I could hear how entitled it sounded in my own head. And I realized that moment, the biggest thing that I wanted to teach my kids, and I think I was just particularly high on the mom hormones after having had my daughter, but I wanted to teach my daughter how to go create her own luck. I didn't want her waiting for opportunities to show up in her corner. I mean, would I love that? Of course, but I didn't want her waiting. I wanted to teach her how to be a trailblazer in her own life, how to go create her own luck. I wanted her to learn how to achieve the goals that she wants for herself with strategies that she can truly get behind. And that was when I had the realization, if I was in charge of creating my own luck, what has been in my way? And that led to the one question back in 2018 that really took me on a totally different trajectory, that led me to, over the course of 18 months, to lose 60 pounds, for me to completely change my relationship with food, where I lost that weight without tracking or calculating, and I started to change my relationship with myself. Here's the question that I asked myself, and I want you to ask yourself this question. Don't sit with this question for days and weeks. I invite you today to take 10 minutes, whether you're listening to this right now, pause the episode and really answer this question, or tonight, before you go to bed, what am I waiting for to prioritize myself seriously? Now, I'm asking this question from a place where I genuinely care about my results. And I realize that I had been waiting for some imaginary set of circumstances to land in my lap that kept my results waiting. I was waiting for my kids to be perfectly behaved, for my husband to be perfectly supportive, for me to have magically 10 more hours of time in my week, for work to be more predictable. And ultimately, I had all these reasons that I had been waiting on really taking action for myself. But I realized in that moment when I was asking myself this question, the real thing that I had been waiting for was to completely believe in myself and to have confidence. I didn't want my energy and effort, which already felt like it was dwindling on a thread, to be wasted. But it has led to the best next 8 birthdays, because that's how many years it has been since I have been doing this work. And it has been the best 8 years that I have experienced in my entire life. And that is ready is not a feeling. It's not something that the universe will ever drop into our minds or into our hearts. Ready was a decision, and it's an uncomfortable decision. So I just want to start by saying that deciding to be ready for something, deciding to change your life can feel like a big decision. It can be uncomfortable. It can be uncomfortable to reprioritize how your family functions, what you're saying yes to, what you're saying no to. It feels uncomfortable to prioritize yourself first when maybe you're used to being so of service that you put yourself to the bottom of the list. But also, while it can feel uncomfortable to just decide to be ready, it's actually a pretty simple decision as well. And what I've seen now, and I could only have seen this in retrospect, I couldn't see this in advance, but because we have this podcast, I get to share it with you and maybe save you some time. That feeling of confidence where you start to believe in yourself and where you start to create the freedom and ease that you're wanting, where weight loss stops feeling like a full-time job, where it stops taking up the mental real estate, that only comes on the other side of taking real action. And I don't just mean let's see how it goes action. I mean deciding that you're really ready to lean in. This is the part that I don't think gets talked about often enough. I call this the sticky messy. Sometimes we enter and we have to go through multiple sticky messy seasons where we try to solve this problem ourselves. We try the DIY approach. We try the calories and the tracking. We try all kinds of things to solve a problem. But after enough time of going through the sticky messy, there will come a moment. All of us have gotten there where you realize that something has to change. And the reason I wanted to bring this conversation to this episode is that moment when you decide you're ready is the moment you start creating your own luck. Imagine you didn't need a flood of motivation or excitement every Monday. Imagine that you didn't need to feel completely confident to take action. These are small mindset shifts that are downstream of just deciding that you're ready to prioritize this and to take it and to go in on yourself. My favorite part about this is when you start creating your own luck in this one area, just with weight loss, with achieving your body goals without tracking or calculating calories, when you reconnect with your gut again, when saying no to something doesn't fill you with deprivation or FOMO, when you have the mental bandwidth back to live your life, you don't just create luck with weight loss and get that sustainability that you're craving. You start creating luck in other parts of your life. I can truly say that this work that we talk about here on this podcast, the strategy, but more importantly, the mindset that it takes to create your own luck, to have that resilience to weather the hard storms, the choppy waters, the moments that you fail and that you mess up, that mindset that keeps you steady in solving the problem starts changing your whole life. It's actually that mindset of learning how to create your own luck, no matter what the circumstances are, what your time looks like, that will change you as a human. I will say that this work has made me a better mom. It's made me a better wife. It absolutely made me a better physician. And that has a ripple effect. And you'll hear me say this time and time again. I'm going to be coming back over the next 3 weeks with client stories where they're going to share their journey on where they were before, which is where a lot of us have started, to where they are now. But one of the biggest through lines across all of these episodes, and really what my clients report to me, is they don't just lose weight, which we've all done before. We've all lost weight before because we all know how to track a calorie. What we start to do together is we get mental real estate back, which means you get time back. And when I really come back down to the core of my mission for professional women, yes, it is to help you lose weight, to feel at home in your body, to feel comfortable in your skin, and to have that steady energy that you've been craving. What I really want is for you to have your time back. I don't want weight loss to be taking up any more mental real estate than it already is. And the way to do that is to know how to create your own luck. It's not always smooth sailing. Weight loss and achieving your goals is not a linear line down. There are many bumps along the way, which is why having the support of a coach and a community of smart women who are navigating this and understand it is such an important part of the process. And I'm saying this as someone who is a chronic DIYer who loves doing things on her own. I've gotten gotten such a badge of honor in being the person that people would come to solve problems, especially as a physician. But weight loss and feeling better with these skills that we're talking about got the most traction when I was in a group coaching experience. Choosing yourself and prioritizing yourself in the way that we're talking about, deciding to make your own luck, doesn't require any more permission, and it really does not require any more waiting. Deciding to stop waiting for the right time, deciding to stop waiting to feel complete confidence and complete belief in yourself, to really lean in and take action on this, that is going to be your birthday gift of a lifetime. And it's available for you starting right now. I'm 43 years old this week, and I can say without a shadow of a doubt that the version of me that decided to prioritize myself, that decided to do away with old diet strategies like tracking and calculating, that decided to change my relationship with food and myself and my body, is eternally grateful to the decision, because it has completely led me down a very different journey. It's impacted my entire family unit, and that means it has had generational change. And this is not because I am special. This is for anyone that simply makes a decision. And that's what brings me to the entire premise of this podcast episode. Luck isn't random. I know I used to think it was, but luck is not random, at least not the kind that we're talking about today. I have watched women lose weight, create more ease and freedom around food in any scenario, travel without sabotaging their wins, change their relationship with food, heal the most critical parts in themselves that kept them on the shame and embarrassment roller coaster, and most importantly, come back home to themselves. They created that luck. And that is something that I want for anyone listening to this podcast episode. The last thing that I want to leave you with is I'm going to be hosting a brand new live training on Sunday, May 31st. It's called Lose 30 Pounds Without Tracking Anything. And it is intended specifically for the professional woman who self-identifies as an overachiever, who has the readiness to solve the problem now. You want weight loss to stop feeling like a full-time job. You want to lose weight and feel better in your body without tracking and calculating every calorie or point you're eating. And you want to understand a proven roadmap for how you can achieve that goal this year. It's happening on Sunday, May 31st at 11 a.m. And this is going to be training you'll want to come live. I don't want you wasting time with passive consumption. I know we all have an inbox full of PDFs and webinars busting at the seams, and I don't want to add to your clutter. What I do know is when you decide to block the time off and come live, there's going to be something transformational that happens for you live on the webinar. Not only does that decision in itself change how you are going to experience the webinar, you're going to start taking decisive action differently, even starting this month. And if you cannot attend live, I don't want you to worry. If you're registered for the webinar, we will be sending a short-lived replay. Thanks for joining me today on the Burn, Stress, Lose Weight podcast. As I close out this birthday episode, if that's what we want to call it, I want to leave you with this gift. It is 100% possible for you to start creating your own luck. You don't have to feel completely confident in yourself to start taking decisive action. But yes, when you don't have confidence first, it will feel uncomfortable. And that's one of the things that I really like to name completely forthcomingly, because sometimes we're under this assumption that taking action should feel good all the time. And while it's nice for us to feel good first before we take action, real confidence and that feeling of sustainability that your weight loss results are completely in your control, it happens on the other side of decisive decisions and taking action. I hope you join me live this month on the training and you're ready to start creating your own luck. You can grab your seat for the training over at www.burnstressloseweight.com/training. Have an amazing rest of the day, and I will see you back next week with the first of our client stories. Bye. One lesson that I have learned over the years is when women feel better on the inside out, everyone around them gets to benefit. Your career, your family, you all get to claim the up level. So if today's podcast episode gave you a new way to think, or maybe challenged an old perspective that you've had, take it with you the rest of this week. And if this podcast episode resonated with you, I would love it so much if you could leave us a rating and review and share this episode with a friend or in your local community. And if you know you want more support and structure in achieving your body goals this year, it might be time for us to work together. Head over to www.burnstressloseweight.com, where I have the latest resources and all of the information about how you can work with me. I hope you guys have an amazing week, and I will see you at